Travis with UTV Window Tint. Today I got a CFMOTO, our first one actually, a two-door model. It's in here for a banner and a full tint job in ceramic 20%. So on the UTV Window Tint website we have carbon, ceramic, and apex. It's all about heat rejection. They're all quality films. They're all going to offer some sort of heat rejection. They're a professional branded window film. So today I'm going to show you how to tint this machine. It's a very cool machine. The customer just got it, so this is new. I heard these gaskets are really tight, so we're going to show how to get around the tight gaskets on these quarter windows. The roll down windows look easy. The rear slider can seem a little bit challenging, but I'm going to show you how to get a good tint job out of it. We're going to show you how to save hundreds on tinting your own machine versus taking it to a tint shop. So let's jump in. I'm going to show you how to tint these front windows. We'll move on to the back window. We'll show you the banner. We'll show you every step of the way. These kits are available on my website, UtvWindowTint.com. I'm a full-time window tinter. I'm here to help you install. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out via the website. Give me a call. I'm here for your support. So let's dive in. Order window. I've gotten some word from the online forums that these gaskets are very tight. So right now what I'm doing is I'm using my yellow shank tool that if you bought the master kit or our 3 tool kit, it would have came. I don't think they're that tight. I'm an experienced window tinter, but what I think you can offset how tight these gaskets are by simply spraying soapy water behind here before you even start. Some guys online were saying they were taking black thin gauge wire and shoving it behind there to kind of open up that gasket. Other people were saying online that if you just shoved a bunch of hard cards in there, for example, if you took this squeegee that would come in the install kit, you could just shove that in there overnight and it would pry that gasket open and have it be farther away from the glass. I don't honestly think this is that tight. We're gonna give this a shot. I haven't tried to tint one of these quite yet, so we're gonna give it a shot. What I'm gonna do is take a metallized razor blade. I'm gonna wet this down and I'm just gonna razor underneath this. So if you can see, my razor blade's actually going underneath the gasket a little bit. I'm not carving the gasket away, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to scrape the glass that's behind there, and I'm trying to also open it up a little bit just to make our life a little bit easier. So I'm gonna wet this again. I wanna make sure that the glass is completely clean. So if you notice, I have my film here for this. So we're gonna try to make this a fast and easy install. What I wanna do is I wanna slide my film in this way first, and then get my film to go behind this gasket, have it lay completely flat, and then shift it back this way. So that's the plan of attack. We'll see if that happens. Again, I'm doing this. I haven't done the other side. I've never tinted a CFMOTO yet. I'm doing this with you. So we're gonna take our pink squeegee, and again, I'm kind of forcing that behind that gasket. I think that's gonna do one of two things. First thing it's gonna do is it's gonna make sure that that's clean behind there. Second thing it's gonna do is it's gonna help me just loosen up that gasket so it's a little bit easier of an install. So now that we got it squeegeed off, I'm gonna take my film, take my liner, I'm gonna mist just my film. Again, we're gonna do this window as a dry install. So I really want that to be soapy. I'm gonna pinch it. And again, we wanna land the film on the glass. I wanna keep this edge away from the glass. And I want to be able to slide the film right behind this gasket. And I'm gently working this to get behind here. And I'm gonna get my yellow tool out. Okay, so now I got it to work behind that gasket, and now I'm just gonna shift the film back this way. I'm gonna check for light gaps. Just need to take my yellow tool, and down here the film's getting a little caught up. So I just wanna open up this gasket to allow the film to go where it's happy. And there you go. So now that film is in there. There was a little bit of a struggle right here, but it wasn't too bad. Now I'm just gonna take my thumb, I'm anchoring it down there in this left corner closest to the camera, and we are just gonna squeegee all of this out. Cool. And then I wanna take, this also came a part of your install. I'm gonna wet my glass. I wanna wipe off this edge to make sure that there's no contaminants on here that are gonna scratch my film. And then we just kinda wanna get behind this gasket and extract all the water that could potentially be behind there. Okay, and I'm just gonna squeegee this out one more time. So that wasn't too bad. We'll move on to this back window here and we'll see how that goes. I will admit the gaskets are a little bit tighter than a Can-Am, but I think you guys know that are buying these machines, it's significantly cheaper than a Can-Am. So we'll show you how to tint this window next. All right, so I got the film on the glass here. We're working on this window. Again, this is gonna be kind of weird working around the camera, but I wanted to give you guys a up close view. I'm just gonna take my rag and I'm gonna wipe all of the border. I'm gonna take this razor blade, working behind the gasket, and I want to make sure that I'm getting behind the gaskets. And you can't see because my hand's in the way, but I've got the blade behind that gasket, scraping out that gasket. So I'm just gonna miss this again. I'm gonna razor blade the whole window this time. Gonna do that one more time. Boom. At this point, what we'll do is we're gonna take our pink install card that came in the kit, and we're going to mist the glass. We're going to squeegee behind the gasket and down. Squeegee behind the gasket down, wipe off each time. Okay, and then we're going to do a dry install. I'm gonna peel my liner on this side and I'm gonna carry my film in. We're gonna wanna go in the top first. So once I get the film over, I'll show you. So we're gonna wanna land this kind of on the glass like that. We're keeping the bottom away from the glass, and we wanna just kinda get it to go behind this seal. We are getting a little sticky. So I wet the glass a little bit just because it's a little warm in here. I should have added a little more soapy water to my mix. So I wet the glass a little bit. What you can do if you're doing these quarter windows is you could save them for last, and then you could mix up your soapy water a little bit stronger. See, now it's sliding in there really nice. I don't know what the tinters on the line were crying about. That slid in very nice. I'm just gonna open this up. You guys would use your yellow tool. This is a plastic frosting spreader that I use for window tint very frequently. Most of the guys on the window tint page take apart all the door panels and everything when they tint a car. I've learned to not take apart door panels because they break the clips and then they rattle and then customers come back. So I've learned how to tuck film behind gaskets pretty well. So if you just get your top positioned in there, now we can just shift our film. Again, soapy water is going to be your friend. You don't want to go crazy on the soapy water because it will be kind of a nuisance to squeegee out. But again, now I'm going to anchor up here with my thumb, and I'm just kind of anchoring the film to ensure that it's going to stay in its spot. And then at that point, you're just going to squeegee all of this down. This keeps wanting to have a little bit of a light cap right there. So we just want to push that back. And just like that, it's fighting me. So just like that, we got it all squeegeed out. We'll do our hard squeegee, and that's how you install it. It did take a little bit more just because of the fact that I had to apply a little bit more soapy water. I guess I would suggest just mixing up your soapy water a little bit stronger when you do these windows, and that will dramatically help. The gaskets on these windows here look very loose, so this window should be easy. We're going to move on to that next. All right, so now we're moving on to this window. This window looks fairly simple. The gasket's very loose. We're going to mist soapy water down here using our gasket tool that was provided if you bought online and you wanted it, or you ordered the master kit or the install kit. So now at this point, we're just going to razor blade this bottom half of the window. Again, we're going to get behind this gasket. These roll-up windows are much more forgiving and friendly than the Can-Am Defenders. I do have the machine in the accessory position, so I'm going to roll down the window. We want to wipe this top edge just because there might be dirt on it that would then rinse into your film area. So we just want to mist it like that, and we just want to use a clean glass towel or microfiber to wipe that top edge. At this point, we'll take and mist this top edge. Assumingly, we've already scraped up to about here, but we're just going to scrape the whole glass again. This window sounds a little gritty, so I'm going to scrape it twice. We want to ensure that we're removing any sort of contaminant. It's just like painting a car. You want to make sure that all of your prep work is done properly, because painting is only half the work. The prep is everything. So I'm just going to take a microfiber wipe down this door to get rid of some of this streaking. It is just Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo mixed with a splash of Dawn. It's not going to harm the door panel. If it's safe for your kids' eyes, it's probably safe for your UTV. So we're going to do that. We're going to razor blade all of this down. And then at this point, we're going to use our black install tool, which is, this is the first time we've used it on our installs. We're going to take this, wipe this off. We're going to mist one more time. And we're going to squeegee this off, just like this. I'm going to be peeling this off this outside of the glass. So what I've done is I've kind of like propped the door open with a trash can that you can't see down there, because the doors like to swing closed. Propped it open with a trash can. I'm actually going to use the outside of this glass as our peel board. So I'll show you what that looks like. That's what you guys are going to do also. So that way you don't need a peel board like what we have at the shop. So I'm just going to stick this half on this rear quarter window and half on this front window. Then I'm just going to take our pink soft card that came with the kit. I actually don't have it on me, but I'm just going to anchor this to the glass just like that, and that's going to help it from folding over. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our soapy water on the inside, and I'm going to mist the inside of the glass. This is all clean. I'm going to wet this. I want a good layer there. I'm going to go to the outside of the machine, and I'm going to peel the liner about halfway down, and it will make sense on why you just do halfway. So I'm also going to wet this. This will do a wet install. So now that I've wet that, I'm going to pinch my film right behind, and I'm going to carry it on my backhand, and I have to go around the camera and the garbage can that's holding the door open, and I'm just going to land this. I'm carrying it with my left backhand right here, and I'm going to land this on the glass. And once it's landed on the glass, I can kind of use that soapy water. I'm going to create a little bit of this wave, and that wave is going to help me get it behind this gasket. So we want to avoid touching the frames here. We want to avoid touching anything that isn't the glass. So now I have the soapy water in here to like shift my film up and down. So I want to shift the film to where the point I'm happy. You don't want it to go over the top edge, obviously, because it will cause it to peel. And at this point, then you'll take your thumb, anchor it, and you'll squeegee out your soapy water. You'll start to work down. So now you don't want to go too far down where you're pinching this. So we're going to do what's called a two-stage method. The two-stage method is going to prevent you from having to take apart your door panels. I'm going to take this and squeegee the water out of here, squeegee the water out of here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually roll up our window all the way, and we're going to take our soapy water solution, your spray bottle in your case. We're going to lift this back, and we're going to mist soapy water under here. The liner is still on here, so I'm just going to peel this liner down and away. And now at this point, you'll mist soapy water on here, and then you'll get this to just slide behind that gasket. You'll do the same here, and you'll just have to, it's stuck a little bit right here. So you kind of have to be able to read the film a little bit. By me just running that down this side gasket, it caused the film to lay flat. I'm gonna mist the film. I'm gonna pinch up here just to see if the film's shifting, and I'm going to just squeegee this out. So there, at this point, I'm gonna come back and do a hard pass squeegee. Squeegee all the water out. We have no light gaps. We have a perfect top edge. So that worked great. Last step to this window, squeegee out the side to extract the water, and then this side to extract the water. I see a little bit of water here. I want to extract that out. So that's how you do the roll-up window. We'll move on to the other side of the machine, wipe down this door panel so the customer doesn't have all these water streaks on it. Let's move on to the other side, and then after that we got a banner, and we'll reassemble the rear glass, and this machine will be done. All right guys, so I'm gonna talk about removing the back window for a CFMOTO, whether you wanna service your back window to clean it, or you wanna remove it to do whatever, install lights or whatever you wanna do, or in this case, we removed it to install window tint. So on the CFMOTOs, it's 8 bolts, 4 up top, 4 down low. They do remove with a 5mm Allen. So the way it works is there's the 5mm Allen bolt, there's a washer on the outside with a rubber grommet built into the glass. That rubber grommet has a metal bushing in it. You want to be careful, those metal bushings tend to fall out, and then there's different size bushings on this. So you want to make sure to mark where your bushings came from, because the cage, like the roll cage or the roof cage, is spaced out differently. So some of the spacers are longer and some of the spacers are more narrow. So you do want to pay attention to that when you're removing it. It is a pretty easy removal. Make sure that you don't, if like the window drops in here, what happened to me was it dropped and then it knocked off one of the spacers where these bolts go, and then I had to remove the lower skid plate to get that spacer. So basically you remove these 8 bolts. Probably want to have a friend help you remove the window out. In order to tint the windows, you had to just remove the latch, which is just 2 Phillips per half. And then you had to remove these end caps, which just pull directly off. There's a little rubber stopper in here. That's available on our full window tint video that we have. But you remove that rubber stopper and you could just slide the windows out. This will make it cleaning the rear window a lot easier to remove it. You will need a hand, it doesn't take very long. The window just slides out. On like the Ranger 1500, you have to remove part of the roof. You do not have to do that on this machine. So it is a pretty easy removal. Have somebody help you on that side, lift it out, do your cleaning, your tinting, your accessory add-ons, and then bolt it back on. Like I said, the only tool you really need is a 5mm Allen, and then a ratchet to take it out. So check out the full tint tutorial on the CFMOTO on our YouTube channel, or visit UtvWindowTint.com. All right, so I got the back window out of the machine. I've just set it in the bed. So with this 4-piece slider, we are gonna have to take these out. They do come out really easy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these two. But before we do that, we actually have to remove the latch for the slider. So we're gonna unlatch that. And then it is just 4 Phillips screws. So we're just gonna take a Phillips screwdriver, and then they come out really easy. So we're gonna set those to the side so we don't lose them. And then once we have this apart, we can just take off the rubber stops on the end of the glass. So once these are loose, they're just machined screws into the glass. So we're gonna take off this side real quick. And now that we got off both of those and the hardware's set off to the side, we're gonna lift this up and we're gonna get this set into position where we can show you how to take off these. So right here and right here, we're gonna remove these stops. So they're just gonna slide out towards the edges of the glass, and they actually just look like this. And if you look at the bottom side, they have this. So there's a little rubber stop in here, and that's to stop your glass. That will also have to come out, but we'll take this, we'll slide this off of the glass. May take a little bit of wiggling to get this off. And now that we have that off, we're just gonna, so in order to get these stops out, I just took my screwdriver, pried it into the opening and got it. Now the window is going to slide out past here, just like that. So now you need to note, obviously be pretty obvious this is the inside because of the screw holes, but you want to tint this side. So you don't want to mess that up and actually tint the outside. So now we're going to take apart the rest of the rear, the other side of the rear glass, and then I'll show you how to tint it. All right, so we're gonna work on tinting this window. So what we wanna do is we wanna take our soapy water solution, On the CFMOTOs, they give you a lot of room to work here. There's a lot of room up here and there's a lot of room down here to work. So it'll be really nice. I'm gonna take a non-scratch Scotch-Brite pad and I'm just gonna clean this up. I'm gonna make a nice foam. I always wanna come back and razor blade this. The point of the razor blade is to scrape all the debris, anything that could be stuck onto the glass off. Again, because of this nice border here, it makes scraping very easy. So now that I've scraped that, I'm comfortable with that. This is a brand new machine. So if your guys' machine is used, you'll want to scrape that twice. So if you guys got our kit, you got a squeegee just like that. You're going to miss this on here. You're going to then just squeegee this off and you're going to wipe each time with a microfiber. And the goal behind this is to move all the dirt and contaminant to this one edge over here. And we're just going to squeegee this edge. Now the goal, if done correctly, you've moved all the dirt that way and you've moved all the dirt down. Now this glass is clean. I'm gonna use the other panel of the glass as my peel board. So what I mean by that is the film is liner side this way. Now I'm exposing. So what I'm gonna actually do here is I'm gonna wet that and I'm gonna transfer it from this side to that side. I like to leave that side dry so that way if you spray soapy water, I'm just going to do it as an example, but if I spray soapy water right now, potentially any dirt that was up here is now rinsed into my film area. So I'd like to do this dry because that eliminates the chance of dirt coming in. So what you're going to do is you're going to peel that on that side. And once you peel it on that side, this is going to be dry. You don't really necessarily want this panel straight up. How I have this panel, the glass panel angled, because you don't want dirt falling from the ceiling. You do want your garage doors and that stuff closed while you do this. So I'm going to show you how to transfer this. All right, so what I'm going to do is this side is anchored. So I'm just going to anchor this down. And what's going to happen here is I'm going to peel this liner. As I'm peeling it, I'm going to spray soapy water on my film. And then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to carry it over here and I'm just going to set it right where it needs to go. You guys didn't see that, but I just landed it on the film right where it needed to go. So now that it's right where it needs, you could take your pink install card that you got with the kit and you're just going to take your thumb, anchor it somewhere, and you just want to make sure that the film doesn't shift like it just did. So you want to just kind of keep your eye on it, make sure that the film's not shifting around, and just kind of do a light pass over all of this, extracting the water. And now that all of it is out, you want to just do a heavier pass over the top of it. And now this window is done. So we can move on to doing the other side. So now I'm going to take the other side piece, I'm going to wet this, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm basically going to use that as my peel board, meaning this is where I'm going to wet the film. That way you're not trying to wet the film while in the air or any of that and you're fumbling around with it. So over here, what we'll do is we'll take and we're going to spray this. We're going to take our non-scratch pad. If you guys ordered the master install kit from our website, you would get this. And then we're going to take a single edge stainless steel razor blade and we're going to just razor blade all of this again. I like to go a little bit past where my work area is, where the glass ends and the black border begins. Again, just mist this down and do it again. You can almost hear if there's grit on the glass. The glass appears to be really clean. Again, this is a brand new machine. So I'm gonna wet this. I'm gonna squeegee, wipe, squeegee, wipe, squeegee, wipe off my blade, and squeegee, wipe off my blade. At this point, I'm ready to do the transfer again. I'll show you from the other point of view. So I'm gonna come over here, I'm gonna wet my film, pull the liner off. I'm gonna completely wet my film. I'm going to pinch on the edge of my film where it's behind the black border, and I'm gonna carry it over here, and without touching anything else, I'm just gonna land this on the glass. Boom, just like that, easy. And don't let it shift like it just did. Take my install tool here, and I'm just gonna pinch with my thumb over here, and I'm just gonna squeegee all this excess water out. And that got me a really clean install. I do not see any dirt or contaminant in that. So that's how you do these two windows. We'll move on to the center windows of the back glass right now. All right, so I actually got my quarter window, the center window set up right there. I do have my film laid for that window over there on that side. Again, this isn't how I would do it in my shop, but because you guys don't have a peel board like I do, I'm gonna show you how to utilize the machine to be able to do your install. So with this, you're gonna miss the window. You wanna make sure before you tint it that these screw holes are facing towards you and you're tinting this side with the screw holes, because this is where your center latch goes. So again, we're just gonna razor blade off this window all the way down. Wanna make sure we're getting all the way out to these edges for these metal brackets that hold the glass. And once we feel comfortable with the clean job, we're going to take our pink squeegee again, and we're going to squeegee and then wipe. And I want all of this to go down. I like to do this at an incline because gravity will help you pull that water down. Just to ensure that this is actually clean, I'm gonna do it again. I'm just using the soapy water mix. You guys would be using a spray bottle. I just happen to have a pressurized sprayer. So at this point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the other side where I showed you the film was, and I'm gonna do a dry install just like we did on these quarter windows. So I'm peeling my liner off, I'm wetting the film, and I'm gonna carry the film over. I'm pinching the very outer edge of the film, and I just want the film to land on the glass, and just like that. So now that the film is on the glass, we just wanna make sure we get it into a nice position. So it's probably hard for you guys to see on film, but it's a really nice fit in between these brackets for the side. At this point, we're gonna pinch my thumb up here to just kind of anchor the film so it doesn't slide around. And we're just gonna squeegee all of this water out. I'm doing a light pass, and then at this point, I'll come back and do a heavier pass to extract that water out. So that's how you do that quarter window or the center slide window. And I'll show you. So we got a gap down here for it to slide, and we got a gap up here for it to slide in its track. I'd let these dry before reassembling the window. We're gonna do the other side, so I'll show you that in a second. All right, so we're on the back window now. So this is the inside. You can tell by the machined holes for the latch. So that is actually gonna be that side's glass. So you wanna be gentle. I did just tint this machine. I did this machine with you guys. I'm probably only an hour into tinting this. It's probably a little bit fresh, but the customer is coming to grab this machine this morning. So we're just gonna slide this window in. Once you get to here, this is the felt gasket. You are gonna have to give this kind of a push or a shove to get it to go past that. That's what gives it the seal. So you are gonna have to kind of go past that. And it is gonna take a little bit of pressure. All right, so I just repositioned the glass a little bit, gave it a shove, it went right in. So at this point, then you have to put these stoppers back in. These stoppers are actually gonna go down here. So these stoppers just kind of, where the track ends, these stoppers will just pop in. There's one up top, one down at the bottom. It just kind of stops the window from sliding all the way out. You may need to take like a screwdriver and kind of just force them in there, but they do snap right in. They just push into the track. And then you have these end cap pieces. So these end cap pieces, this is a top. They just slide back in and then they latch into the track. They are a little bit of a pain, but they're not too bad to do.